You're listening to the 2024 Fall Share-a-thon on the Guadalupe Radio Network. The phone number to call in and donate is 1-800-476-3311. That's 1-800-476-3311. Living the Beatitudes is the theme for this week. I'm Wyatt Goolsby, Executive Director of KSHJ, the Guadalupe Radio Network station in Houston, Texas. Joining us to talk more about their involvement as a longtime supporter and volunteer is Carol Herrera. Carol not only donates her time and treasure, but she also helps us with production every week on our nationwide show, The Spirit World, which airs Saturday mornings. Carol, thanks for taking the time to talk with us today.
Well, thanks for having me, Wyatt.
You are known among Houston as a super volunteer. You are here at least 3 times a week, if not more in some cases. You were helping us out in July when we had a religious demonologist, Adam Bly, and angel specialist, Debbie Georgiani, in town for our summer speaker series. Carol, there's so much to talk about. Let's start just first with your involvement in the Guadalupe Radio Network. Okay. When did you first hear about the radio station, and what made you want to volunteer to help?
Well, I started in 2020, so I'm a convert to Catholic radio, Wyatt.
Not to the faith, but to Catholic radio specifically.
To Catholic radio, exactly. And I would say that I met Tim at my parish church, was a St. Joseph Catholic Church, and he was there.
And I guess at that time, Tim Mott was the general manager?
Tim Mott was the station manager at the time, so he was at my parish church, St. Joseph's Catholic Church, and he was there selling tickets for a car raffle. So after he convinced me to buy raffle tickets, then he convinced me to come by the station and to check it out and to learn more about it. And so I thought, well, why not? My background is in communications. It piqued my interest. And I thought, you know what? Let me give it a try. I was looking to do some volunteer work. So I thought, okay, I'll go ahead and do it. So we made an appointment. And after that, it was history. And I really enjoyed it. Like I tell you, my background has been in communications, but it was in television. But this is the radio side of it. So again, I'm really enjoying it, though.
Not only have you volunteered regularly, as you said, but you've also contributed by speaking with me over the air. We have a local show in Houston as well. How important is it for you, Carol, to be able to share the faith through the radio apostolate? And how powerful of an apostolate do you think we have here with the Guadalupe Radio Network?
Well, Wyatt, I think it's very important. I think when you work with Catholic Radio, you are evangelizing, and I want to help do that. I want to help spread the word of God, and that's what Catholic Radio does. It does it with its formative programs, its educational programs, and most importantly, the spiritual part of it. We have Catholic Mass, we have the Chaplet of Divine Mercy, we have the Holy Rosary, and other programs that just are very informative and just, it talks about everyday life, and it's just very meaningful. It's very powerful, and especially on the radio. The media is a very powerful source, and you can hear the Catholic radio on the radio and on your phone, even on the app. So definitely, Catholic radio is very, very important.
I'm glad you said everyday life, because in some sense, you and I and all of us are on a pilgrimage to heaven. We're on a pilgrimage, always moving towards Christ. And not only is life a pilgrimage, but you yourself are also on a bit of a personal pilgrimage. You've challenged yourself, Carol, to grow spiritually by traveling to every single church and mission in the Archdiocese of Galveston, Houston. And you've been doing that over the course of several years. How many do you think so far you've been able to visit, and how many? What is the goal? How do you know how many you've been to or reach?
Well, I'm going to all the parishes and missions of the Archdiocese of Galveston, Houston, and there's about 146 parishes, and you have about 11 missions. And I hope, God willing, to be able to go to all of them. So far, by the time this interview airs, I guess it'll be over 150.
Oh, wow.
So, yes. So, God willing, I'll be able to finish this in early September, because then I'll be going on a big pilgrimage abroad. So, this is going to be leading up to that other pilgrimage I'll be doing then. But anyway, it's been an incredible journey, Wyatt. The Holy Spirit has been the guiding force of this whole pilgrimage. Again, I started this as well in 2020, 4 years ago, and it's just been very empowering for me. I've learned a lot about my Catholic faith, a lot about the communities, the parishes. I've seen a lot of beautiful parishes, met a lot of, incredible people, and I've just seen a lot. It's been mind-blowing, and I've enjoyed and I've loved every bit of it. It's been not only transforming, but the I guess at this point, one of the best achievements of my life. And that also includes my career.
We're always happy to have you on. Also, talk about some of the priests that you've met along the way as well. A reminder for us to pray for all of our clergy members that are out there working all across our country and across the
Absolutely.
world for the
Absolutely.
faith, no matter if they're a church, a mission, a chapel, wherever they may be. We continue to pray for all of our clergy members. Carol, I want to ask you about the Beatitudes because the theme of our fall share-a-thon here is living the Beatitudes. And of course, the Beatitudes are central to Jesus Christ's teaching during his public ministry 2,000 years ago. Tell me why the Beatitudes are important to you.
Well, it helps to remind me of how I should be living my life every day, Wyatt. It's like the Ten Commandments in a way.
Yeah.
It's so powerful, and I think sometimes the way we forget the Ten Commandments, we can do that as well. And for me personally, the Beatitudes provides hope, And I think sometimes we look at things and we look at them and we feel distraught, we're sad about certain things that are happening in our lives, or things that are going to happen, and then we lose hope. And I think for me, the Beatitudes provides that. It tells us how we should be living. It reminds us about what happens. What would happen afterwards, like when the Lord, how powerful He will be with us, like provide mercy, and He will give us mercy.
Yeah.
And things like that. So I think they're very powerful, and it's just a guiding rule on how we should live our lives. And I try to live them every day. And the Beatitudes is a reminder, and it should be a reminder to all of us.
I love that comparison between the Beatitudes and the Ten Commandments, because the Ten Commandments say, don't do this or do this. But like you were saying, the Beatitudes urge us to do more, to be humble of heart, to dig a little bit deeper in how we treat others, how we think about others. And that sounds like it's very, very powerful. I think the Beatitudes have a universal appeal as well. I think you and I, Carol, would easily recognize the Matthew version of the Beatitudes, which is the most popular.
Sure.
Luke has it as well. What do you think it is about the Beatitudes, Carol, that has an appeal to people all over the world, even if they may not be Catholic like you and I? It seems to resonate, though, that message.
It sure does. Why? Because again, like we said, it's how we should be living as a person in this world. I mean, to be human, to be kind to one another, to be good to one another. Those aren't just Catholic things. Those are things we all should be doing with one another, having patience with one another. Again, like we said, have mercy for one another, pray for one another, look out for one another. Just like the Ten Commandments again, thou shalt not kill, that that shall not do this, you shall not do that. I mean, I don't want to have to mention all the commandments, but it's a daily rule on how we should live our lives. And again, it's just not for us, it's for everybody. And if you can follow the golden rules, then there's the afterlife that we're all going to go to, Wyatt. Catholics and those who aren't Catholics.
Right,
and
there's a final judgment for all.
That's right. There's a final judgment, one God for all of us. And He's going to judge us accordingly. So I just think we need to remember that and live accordingly. Again, be a good Christian and be good to one another.
Absolutely. Yeah. You are listening to the Guadalupe Radio Network's Fall Share-a-thon. Volunteers are standing by to take your phone call to make a donation or just to make a pledge of support. The phone number to call in is 1-800-476-3311. Again, the phone number, as volunteers are standing by, 1-800-476-3311. Wyatt Goolsby is here with you alongside longtime volunteer Carol Herrera. We are in our Houston office, KSHJ. Carol, you've participated in so many of our GRN events, our initiatives. What keeps you motivated to come back and help?
Wyatt, I love volunteering. Volunteering is my passion. I've done it over the years. And again, as I was seeking something out, there was some emptiness in my heart. And volunteering fulfilled it, and it's still fulfilling it today. That's why I keep coming back. I keep coming back because I just love what I'm doing. I love meeting new people all the time, especially here in Catholic Radio. You're meeting people all the time here or in the field. We're out, and especially during the share-a-thons too. There's so much to take in when you're volunteering here. And I just love it. And it's more than just volunteering at a job at a radio station. I'm volunteering with my family. The people here become more of my family. A lot of the people that I've met along the way have too. I've made friendships with other people outside that I didn't have before Catholic Radio. And it's just been a blessing, a true blessing, So I thank God for that. And Tim for bringing me on a long time ago.
Yes, many thanks to Tim
for
Mott.
convincing me.
That's right. Many thanks to
Years
Tim Mott,
ago.
our colleague. He did a great job so many years ago of talking with you and so many other people
That's
and getting
right.
the word out. And so, yeah, I said there's so many people like yourself that also want to contribute in some small way, whether it's volunteering or giving money, whatever people are able to do with their talents and their abilities. And so that's something to consider as people listen to this program, what they can do to help wherever they are in their lives.
You're
And
right.
may I just say, Carol, I can also tell that you have that joy in helping in our radio apostolate because you have come from a communications position. As you said before, you had been in television for many years. And I know coming from that background that there are a lot of people, unfortunately, who just get jaded with life. And like I was telling you beforehand, you're not jaded with life. I can tell by participating and volunteering, giving of yourself. There's something, I don't know if I want to say healing about it, but something that's very enriching for sure, for you spiritually. So I just want to say I really appreciate
Oh,
that.
thank you. Well, it's been very, very gratifying. I wouldn't have changed it for anything else
Absolutely.
at all.
Why do you think that it's so important that people who are listening call in or then go online and donate, grnonline.com? Why is it so important for them, Carol, to consider supporting this ministry?
Because Wyatt, we have so much negativity out in the world today that we need to have that other side of it, the good side of it, the good types of programming. Again, like I mentioned earlier, we need to have that Christian-based type of shows, a mindset too in our lives. If not, just imagine how things would be if we didn't have somewhere else to turn to besides, the secular news and radio that we hear of all the time. Catholic radio is so powerful. It's so moving. It can be life-changing. I've heard on the radio several shows where people talk about the fact that they became Catholic because of Catholic radio. That's very powerful. I mean, apparently there's people out there that are still searching, and they found what they were looking for here. And now, they're going on, I'm sure, promoting Catholic radio. And I just think it's a good way to evangelize as well, as I mentioned earlier. Nothing like Catholic radio, So anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Let me follow up with you on that,
Sure.
though, because as you mentioned, a lot of people who are Catholic will listen to the radio station, but not all of them are Catholic.
That's right.
How do you describe the Guadalupe Radio Network when you talk to other people you might come across who either are not Catholic or just in general are not familiar with the network and this ministry in particular?
Well, I talk about it in terms of saying that, hey, listen, you don't have to be Catholic to listen to the radio. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of educational programming, a lot of informative programming. It just talks about life itself. There are a lot of programs that just are dealing with just life, how everybody lives, the struggles that everyone goes through. You can hear about ways you can handle them on Catholic radio, and it gives you a different spin on things. It shines a whole new light on how you can look at things, and I think that's very important, Wyatt, because I think we need that other side of it, and I think people who haven't listened to Catholic radio find that when they hear Catholic radio. Again, not only hope, but, they feel like, okay, maybe there is, light at the end of the tunnel for what I'm going through and how things are going. And that's why I think that it's important for them to, listen to Catholic radio. And I talk to them about it's, the different types, again, the programming that relate to them as well, to all of us. And so I'm glad the fact that we have programs even now that are, they're for non-Catholics only to call in and ask questions. So I think that's very important because it's about life itself, not just about one particular religion, but although it's all Catholic religion here on the Catholic radio.
Sure, absolutely. And there's so many questions like those Q&A shows where people can
So
call
many.
in and you and I are constantly learning about our own faith and, we've been Catholic for decades.
Yes, and I keep mentioning and going back to that because there's such a variety of programming, Wyatt, on the station. And that's when I want them to at least tune in, listen in, see what piques your interest. And I'm sure it's going to some way bring you back to listen again until you're hooked like I am.
And again, what's great is that you can be Catholic, not Catholic. You can always support the Guadalupe Radio Network with your talents, treasures, abilities. And now is the time to help keep this network on the air. It's all thanks to you, everyday donors, so that we can keep our radio station broadcasting. You can do that by calling in and making a pledge of support right now. We have volunteers standing by ready to talk with you personally. The phone number is 1-800 1-800-476-3311. Again, 1-800-476-3311. Even if you don't have a payment right now, you can make a pledge of support, and be sure to tell them if you go to a certain church or if you have a certain prayer intention, because we're always happy to pray for anybody who calls in and makes a donation. Carol Herrera is sitting alongside me, Wyatt Goolsby in Houston. Want to go back and ask you more, Carol, about the Spirit World, because that's one of the programs that's produced by the Guadalupe Radio Network that's put out nationwide, and it's garnering so much interest. You yourself, Carol, volunteer as a producer, often also helping field phone calls for the program's question and answer session. What have you learned about the faith or learned about the church by helping produce the Spirit World?
Well, I'll tell you that I have learned a lot more about my faith, about those things I should and should not be doing. For one, a lot about the angels and the demons, and the fact that, the negativity, the evil one, they're out there, Wyatt. They're all around us.
That's right. We are in spiritual warfare.
That's right. And we have to be on guard at all times. And the fact that the spirit world offers so much knowledge on how to look for these things, how to enlighten us, how to change things in our lives, to be more aware of this, be ready for it, and how to handle things. And I have also, again, like you mentioned earlier, I fielded these calls myself, along with Libby and Lori, who are other call screeners, and we hear the most incredible stories. It's mind-blowing, and every time they call, Debbie and Adam are just right on spot in terms of answering the questions. I mean, I learned from them as well. But it's been powerful again as well for that show, and we get calls from all over the country. All over the country, Wyatt. And I just think that the word is getting out. We not only get calls, but there's plenty of information that comes on the other social media as well, Facebook, YouTube, of the people listening in, and also sending their questions via, either phone, calling us up. Because if you don't call at the beginning of the show, then, because
it's that popular.
It gets
so many people
the phone lines.
Calling in.
That's right. The phone lines fill up fast, and that's great because we know the word is getting out there, and we have Debbie and Adam to the rescue to help fill those questions, to help answer those questions that you have about any questions you may have.
I want to give credit to Adam Bly, Debbie Georgiani, again, hosts of the Spirit World, because they're able to field those phone calls and, like you said, even give answers right off the top of their heads. I don't know how they do it. They're able to come up with the answers. I'm more inclined to be like, well, let me double check and look that up for you. But Debbie and Adam know their stuff, and they'll jump right on it. So I know, because they fielded so many questions before. So again, the Spirit World is on Saturday mornings. We're hoping that the phone lines here will fill up just as fast as they do on the Spirit World. Again, people can call in 1-800-476-3311. Carol, last thing I want to ask you about, for people who are on the fence about making their choice of either a one-time or a monthly donation or just making a pledge, tell me why people will not regret giving to our radio apostolate, to our nonprofit ministry.
Because we're always there, we're going to be there, and we can only do it with their support, with the people's support. We're going to provide you that programming that when you want to listen to something uplifting, you can turn the radio on, and we're there. Or you can hear us on Facebook or other social medias. But it's very, very important. We need this. We need Catholic radio. It's powerful. It's out there. It's transforming. It's educational. And it's what we need in this world today, Wyatt. Not only for us, but for our children and for everybody else. We need this, Catholic radio.
All of that information, of course, about our programming as well as the Share-a-thon is all on our website, grnonline.com. That's grnonline.com. My thanks to you, Carol Herrera. This is Wyatt Goolsby at KSHJ in Houston, and you're listening to the 2024 Fall Share-a-thon on the Guadalupe Radio Network. Again, you can get on the line now. The phone number to call is 1-800-476-3311. Call in now and talk with a friendly volunteer and make a donation, 1-800-476-3311.